from an SEO perspective, some people go, well, SEO is dead now, isn't it? Because AI is going to take content, they're going to bring it out into the results. And I would say, no, the opposite is happening. If anything, SEO mediocrity is dead, and actually SEO is going to become more valuable. You're going to have more to fight for in less of a real estate on a search result, meaning that your job is even more important than it was before.
You're listening to the Keep Optimizing podcast to increase your traffic, improve your conversion rates, and grow your profits.
Hello and welcome. I'm Chloe Thomas, the host of this e-commerce marketing focused podcast. If you're not familiar with our format, well, each month we focus on a different marketing method like email or SEO or Facebook ads. And each week I interview a different expert to explore the latest advice on making it work for you. I love hearing from you guys, and so when we get a lovely mention, I like to give you a shout out. So huge thank you to Edward Steer, who's an SEM exec mattress man. How perfect, SEM exec in an SEO episode. And he sent me a LinkedIn DM about this podcast saying, so say thank you for it, that it's so easy to listen to and insightful. So thank you so much for listening, Edward, and for letting me know how much you're enjoying the show. If you're listening right now and you want your name read out at the beginning of an episode, then just head to keepopt.com/review to find out how to leave a review. Well, I said we usually focus on a marketing method for each month. We are doing something different this month. We are doing our annual things you need to know before peak. And weirdly, there's not been a lot of news this year. So we've done post-purchase customer service, a very cool techie update. We've done second hand, which is something that should be on all your radars. How can you tap into and make a profit from that? And now we're doing the more newsy one. It's where the most news has happened this year is SEO, with the Google leak, the third-party cookie changes at Google, the changes with AI appearing in the SERPs, and the DOJ monopoly judgment. So I've got an absolutely fantastically knowledgeable SEO person joining us to give us the sensible advice on all those things, and also to be sharing exactly what you should be doing in SEO right now. So get ready for that, and make sure you listen right to the end, because he is also sharing some great answers in the Quickfire Insider Tips section. So stay tuned to the end. Struggling to get your e-commerce business to the next level, especially with Black Friday around the corner? As the biggest shopping season of the year approaches, optimizing your online store can feel overwhelming. But don't stress. The Yoast SEO plugin for Shopify is here to simplify your SEO efforts during this busy period. Yoast takes the guesswork out of SEO, guiding you through best practices for optimal visibility. Get Yoast SEO for Shopify today. Visit keepopt.com/Yoast. Act now and save 10%. Use the code KEEP10ANN, that's KEEP10ANN, at checkout to get a 10% discount on your first year of Yoast SEO for Shopify. This is only available in September 2024, and you must select the annual package. Start optimizing today and make the most of Black Friday. Go to keepopt.com/Yoast and use the code KEEP10ANN. In this episode, I'm chatting with SEO expert Alex Moss. Alex is principal SEO at Yoast and also co-founder of Firecask. He's been in SEO for over 20 years, working a mix of in-house agency side and now software side roles. Hello, Alex.
Hello. Thanks for having me. And thanks. It's nice to be here.
Great to have you on the show, especially for this kind of catch up on everything in the world of SEO episode. I don't think we could have anyone more knowledgeable than you on to do it. So thank you so much for being here, Alex. How did you, though, end up in SEO? Because 20 years is kind of almost as long as you can be in it. So how come you ended up in it so early?
Well, two reasons. How did I end up in it? Well, the first thing is that, like most people my age from it who's been in SEO this long, you fall into it from doing something else. So to go back a little bit further, I was taught HTML in school when I was 14. That was 1998. So that was pretty good at the time. I then evolved my knowledge into PHP in my year out, which is when I was about 18. And then I became a freelance web developer and web designer throughout my college, university years to pay for my student debts. So I did that, and that was successful. And I came out of university with a law degree without wanting to go into law. So I kind of just went into web design. And as I got into there, I was hired by a company, and they said, have you heard of SEO? And I went, no. And I went on a one-day course with a company that used to be owned by a guy called Kev Gibbons, who's still active, owns an agency called Resignal, does really, really well. And he had a one-day course. And at the end of it, I went, I understand everything you said. That's great. And actually, I've been doing that in the past. So if I rewind a couple more years, I had a South Park fan website as a teenager. I was able to manipulate rankings by ranking for things like fake Nike trainers, all the black hat stuff. But before 2004. So it was anything was game. And I didn't realize I was optimizing my website as I was doing it. I just thought at the time, oh, let's get anyone in to the site. I don't care how or whether it's relevant or not. Let's just bring them in. And it worked. And that's kind of just went from there.
So you kind of you found out you already were an SEO without knowing you were an SEO?
Pretty much. So I was probably SEOing in about 2001. Before I knew that search engines people could optimize for a search engine. I didn't even think, it didn't even cross my mind of the way a search engine works, search intent or users. I was just a kid, right? Making a fan website for something I liked. And it kind of grew naturally from there.
Oh, well, I can feel myself about to get nostalgic for the early days of e-commerce and the internet, but let's avoid that because we're supposed to be bringing this right up to date and catching everybody up with what's important in SEO right now. So there's been kind of, I guess, the biggest piece of news, which I think is maybe a non-event, but Alex, you know far more about this than I am, so maybe I'm wrong, is the Google leak. The leak of the documents. Could you first of all tell us what it was for anyone who's going, what? What is this news story? And then should we care?
I'll answer the first question first. What is the leak? Now, the leak was a big set of data. It was a data leak on every single variable that Google could consider or have flagged as a consideration in anything to do with ranking, right? Now, that's every single variable, and there were lots in it. There were thousands, tens of thousands of variables and what they all were and all of these things. Now, is it important to you? In short, no. That as an SEO, maybe talking to someone who is in, day out, is it important for someone like me? Yeah, to interpret what all of that data is. Now, there's a few things. It's like they didn't tell you how much weight any of those variables are, or even if they're in consideration anymore in today's current date, or whether they ever were, but maybe in the future. So there's one thing that was really interesting that Rand Fishkin brought out was user interaction. And he's been saying for years and years and years that there is a correlating factor between user interaction on a website and the way in which it's ranked. And Google always denied it. And then lo and behold, when the data leak happened, it was there. But that doesn't mean that it is still weight now, or it's more or less weight than it was before. The fact that it's in that list kind of proved Rand right, and that he was looking at things that at one point could have been in a very big variable. So that's it. But there's a lot of SEOs that went deep into it, had a look at everything. I wasn't one of those people. I'm one who likes the other people to have a look at all of that. I take the skim read of it and take what I need to from it. But that's what everyone should do, right? They shouldn't get obsessed with the data. They should just look at what they feel is important. But as I've said in a few other webinars and updates and podcasts, you don't really need to obsess about everything that Google's doing. They're one system, and you should take maybe even go back even further before the internet. The basic ethics of marketing are all still there. It's all still the same. It's just the technology we use around it is adapting, not the way in which we, execute a marketing strategy.
I hear, completely agree with all of that. And it's I think what I found most interesting about it is it was like, oh yeah, our suspicions and what Google are actually doing are pretty much aligned. It was like, oh, okay, we've all been on the right track for the last couple of decades. It's okay.
Exactly. It was data validation for SEOs. So especially the white hatters, right? And some of the theorists of what people and what Google are looking at in there. It had its bad things and its good things, but there was a bit of a PR issue with Google that month. There were lots of different things happening. AI, it was in the same month that AI Overviews was released as part of PR, their marketing campaign in I/O. So it was interesting to see the effect, but has it really changed anything that happens? I don't really think so. I don't think an SEO now is going, I'm doing something really differently today than I was 6 months ago. And if that person did say that, I'd start questioning what they were doing 6 months ago or what they're doing now, what those changes are. But again, yeah, it's just more information. And like you say, it validates the people who were doing the correct thing all along. And I believe it kind of instills the fact that Google are taking that much consideration into everything about how something ranks, that they had to really go beyond the people like me that I just described in 1998 who didn't even think about or care about how a user got to my website. I just cared that they did.
Cool. Well, let's move on to the next potentially big story, which is the Google third-party cookie backtrack that's happened. Again, could you explain a little bit about it for us, the basics, because this one's a wormhole, and then how this does or doesn't affect SEO, please?
The third-party cookie story, in short, it's based around data privacy. Whenever you hit a website, cookies are stored on your computer, on your device, or whatever you do. If you're logged in, it can connect you between devices as well. And there's lots of things that third-party cookies can do, which I believe is a good benefit. But I do understand there's a lot of abuse in it. It means that anyone can put any pixel in any website. Now, third-party cookies were going to be taken away, which gave a lot of hurdles to techies on how they would store certain cookies, and it became a bit of a nightmare for them. Also became a nightmare for legal, because they had to then dance around GDPR rules. In Europe, there's even more. And within Europe, there's countries who were even worse in terms of regulation, like Germany, for example, is really, really harsh, and Italy on GDPR and privacy rules. It obviously got unworkable to a point that they've just not carrying on with it. Now, when they announced that became a surprise to some people, but really, I don't know why I kind of had a gut feeling it was never going to go through, because I saw the conversations and heard the conversations of how difficult it was. I even had to go away and study multiple analytical platforms to see which ones were going to be compatible. Maybe moving away from Google Analytics, which it's not everyone's cup of tea, right? But it is my cup of tea, and I like it as a platform, and it seemed a shame that you would have to remove all of those things. In terms of SEO, has anything changed? No, nothing's changed. The only thing that has changed is that you now don't need to worry, as you can get your breath back to know that you can get as much data. There was going to be a lot more limited data once third-party cookies went away, and that would have been a trouble for a lot of marketers and site owners. They wouldn't have had full insight into everything. We still don't have full insight, but this would have really, really limited it. But in short, nothing you need to worry about. I'm sure there's a lot of legal firms who are now laughing at all the hours of retained work that they charged out that never need to actually be implemented.
Yeah. So guys, well, I think what Alex is saying, and Alex, say if I'm summarising this badly, is don't lose any sleep over it, and we'll wait and see what happens next.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I guess the other big thing in SEO at the moment is how Google are bringing AI results into the search results, which seems to be appearing more and more often. I've forgotten the 3-letter abbreviation we're supposed to use to explain that. So, Alex, please enlighten us and tell us a bit about this one too.
Well, AI has been in everyone's face for a good 2 years now, and it's come a long way. And when it comes to AIO and AI overviews, that's something that Google have picked up, and that's now coming into the SERPs. I've only seen it, I'm based in the UK, and I've only seen AIO last week or in the last 2 weeks. But obviously, I've got colleagues who are based in America, like Carolyn, who's been a previous podcast guest. She's had it for quite some time and been able to use more. Now, there are lots of issues with the execution of it. It gives out what I think is unhelpful, some deemed dangerous results. You know, there's the famous one of, I think, to get rid of kidney stones, drink your own urine, or, you know, throw a rock on yourself to get rid of leg pain. You know, weird things that I know it was bringing in content from Reddit that kind of helped in that exposure, which is a whole different conversation on Reddits and whether they're actually good to be on the SERPs in this way. But it's in early days, it's still experimental, it's still kind of beta-ish, and there's a lot more that needs to be done to make AI overviews perfect. But from an SEO perspective, what does that mean? It means that you need to get the best helpful content that an LLM, AI overviews are going to say, well, actually, that's the best content for me to present. Whilst people say that it's going to take away a click, it's going to instill even more trust. So if you search on AIO and let's say the answer you get is about SEO plugins and they talk about Yoast, you're being sold right in the search results page without being clicked about us as a brand, for example. So even when you were to visit our website, it's kind of already been told to you from what you perceive to be a third party because a machine has been now recommending that to you. And also from an SEO perspective, some people go, well, SEO is dead now, isn't it? Because AI is going to take content, they're going to bring it out into the results. And I would say, no, the opposite is happening. If anything, SEO mediocrity is dead, and actually SEO is going to become more valuable. You're going to have more to fight for in less of a real estate on a search result, meaning that your job is even more important than it was before, and even more important not to do any black hat or abusive work.
You mentioned, Alex, helpful content there, which I think kind of feeds into what you were saying about the Google leak as well. So if we ignore the news stories, and if I posed you the question, now for an e-commerce marketing manager working on SEO right now, looking a little bit to peak 2024, but obviously it's very close, and on into 2025, is helpful content and better quality content with an eye on UX. Is that essentially the headline of what we should be doing? Would that be top of your strategy for them?
100%. Is your content helpful? Can your user navigate to find the answer and solution to that question or query? And are you thinking about the user first? Because if the answer's no to any of those things, you need to reevaluate your site and your content on your site. Also, when it comes to UX, this can go in a number of ways. This can be from accessibility. It can be from hidden content or injecting content. It can be inserting too many ads if you're a publisher or if you're an affiliate. All of these things add to UX. It's like one of those, these are the top 10 action films of whatever, and you go into that website and then there's 3 ads for every paragraph. Those sites were hit by HCU. And it depends, again, what your interpretation of helpful is, because some site owners have been really, really angry at Google in the last 12 to 18 months because of their more recent helpful content updates that have now merged into the main updates. And some people have said, well, we've had helpful content on our site, but now we're getting demoted in exchange for what we believe or what the site owner perceives to be unhelpful content. But what is helpful content? If you're talking about shoes, right, and you've got some new trainer, don't talk about necessarily go on about the materials of everything. That's great technical detail, that's fine, but does the user really need to know? Is the user going to find that helpful to what they need, which is hopefully purchasing that trainer? If the answer is no, then you can do that in some other post about, here's the sustainability of our shoes, and this is what we do generally, and you can read more about it there. But on a product level, I would say just think about, what does the user need to know in order to click add to basket? And am I not providing enough information? Am I providing too much information? And there is that balance, and, that's quite subjective to view. And even SEOs like me can't always answer what is helpful, right? Because again, that can be interpretive towards the user. Someone may really, really want to know about all the materials and sustainability, and another customer may not care. They're just on fashion over function.
I love the fact you split out the fact there are different ways of being helpful when creating content about exactly the same thing. And I think that's something which we're increasingly going to see is as you say, right? So we've got the customer who wants to know the sustainability, so we need content about that. But on the product page, we can link to that, and we should actually be thinking about what's the primary barriers to purchase and how do we explain about those. And I think it's going to become increasingly important to work out which, like as you say, which bit of helpful are we trying to help with at that point? Do you think there's a big role for blog content as well as product page content on e-commerce stores, or is it get your products right first and then we can worry about the blogs and the pages?
Yeah, work on the products first, but definitely have other content, other evergreen content as well that does that thing that enhances brand authority and all of those things. So the other thing to think about is search intent. And there's 4 types of search intent. There's navigational, informational, commercial, and transactional. On Yoast, we've got a blog post about all of those 4 intents. And usually it's great to mix up 2 of those intents, and one of them should be on the commercial or transactional side. As soon as you have that as a basis of how you produce content, if you keep remembering, well, how do I fulfill this search intent? I need to make sure it's informational and commercial on this product page, then that's what you need to focus on. And how is it going to be helpful to fulfill that intent? Because remember, I'm old school and I compare search behavior of me and my wife. I am quite short tail and I dumb down search terms. So if I want to see what's on this week in the cinema, I'll just put cinema listings near me, right? That's it. Anna will actually write an entire sentence in a way that she's kind of been ChatGPT user experience the whole time. She's been talking to Google like it was ChatGPT, all of this. And now she's actually got more of a relevant user intent than I do, because I think that Google and other search engines probably find my search terms more annoying to deal with because I don't produce the intent in the search term. But now people are doing that a lot more because technology has come in such a way that you're now engaging with it in a more natural way, like a human.
Brilliant. Alex, it's been great getting your take on all of this, the SEO stuff. We really need to know right now, is there anything else it would be crazy for us not to tell the audience about, or have we covered the key things they need to know about right now?
I would say that's mainly covered the key things. I mean, it's always good to keep up to date on all the publications and whatnot. But I would say, in short, the only other thing that may be useful to some people is the Department of Justice monopoly judgment, where they judged against Google, saying they were too much a monopoly on the web in general, right? And that may, especially in the EU, because it always happens when it comes to spreading monopoly in a more democratic way, it's always the EU that do it first. So if you are in the EU, I would say look into it. It's not something that's going to happen in the next couple of months, but anything that does happen, it's maybe good to look at, and it also maybe expand beyond just Google and think about things like Bing. I know it's forgotten, but if you think about it, if they take up 10% of the search queries of everyone, then maybe you should at least spend 10% of your time thinking about it, right? And take that proportion. Everyone just assumes Google and everyone else will follow. And whilst that was true a few years ago, the other search engines technology is catching up, that they don't need to rely on, piggybacking off the big one.
Yeah, and if you're gonna, I guess, bet on the fact that somehow the dominance of Google is going to be reduced in search, then at least understanding what you need to do for Bing is not a bad idea. Love that. Thank you for adding that into the mix for us, Alex. It's been great picking your brains about all of this. Listeners, remember to stay tuned right to the end so you don't miss out on Alex's insider tips on all of this and my suggestions for more free resources to help you improve things even further in your business. Struggling to get your e-commerce business to the next level, especially with Black Friday around the corner? As the biggest shopping season of the year approaches, optimizing your online store can feel overwhelming. But don't stress. The Yoast SEO plugin for Shopify is here to simplify your SEO efforts during this busy period. Yoast takes the guesswork out of SEO, guiding you through best practices for optimal visibility. Get Yoast SEO for Shopify today. Visit keepopt.com/Yoast. Act now and save 10%. Use the code KEEP10ANN, that's KEEP10ANN at checkout to get a 10% discount on your first year of Yoast SEO for Shopify. This is only available in September 2024 and you must select the annual package. Start optimizing today and make the most of Black Friday. Go to keepopt.com/Yoast and use the code KEEP10ANN. Okay, Alex, so far we've gone deep into the latest SEO news. Now, though, you get to wow us with your insider knowledge about the whole of e-commerce and SEO. So for the following questions, your answer can be anything to do with e-commerce and SEO, which of course does include all those things we've already been talking about. So Alex, are you ready for this?
I am.
Excellent. Okay, let's start with newbie advice. If we've inspired someone to take their first step, what do they need to know to give themselves the best chance of success?
I would say keep reading and keep learning. I read all the time, even now as an advanced SEO. So learning as much as you can about SEO and the things around it, because SEO isn't just SEO, it's part of a big marketing mix. It goes between product and marketing. We've got academy courses where Yoast has academy courses where you can learn more. And we have those intro to SEO webinars that happen every 2 weeks. And Carolyn and I also host a monthly SEO update that goes through the news of the month every single month. I think the next one's going to be on the 1st of October, so not long from now. As well as that, I also read posts from like Search Engine Land, Search Engine Journal. I follow Googlers like Danny Sullivan and John Muller and Search Central, which is one of Google's own profiles. And there are a couple of links which I'll give to you so you can give to podcast members of Google ranking updates and documentation updates.
So there you go, everyone. Keep learning. And loads of great resources there. Thank you, Alex. Now, once you've started, of course, you've got to keep optimizing. So what's your favourite way to improve performance?
Improving performance. I mean, there's so many things to check, right? So to me, everything's a task list, a recurring task list, which, by the way, you should be able to download from quite a few places. Yoast gives like SEO checklists that you should be doing. Using Search Console weekly, maybe even daily if that's your thing. Bing Webmaster Tools. Connecting Yoast to either WordPress or Shopify is very, very handy and does a lot of the shortcuts that a web developer would have to do. And then if you're going into more serious stuff, I use SEMrush on a nearly daily basis. It's great. If you want to analyze your site, the Screaming Frog, which does 500 URLs as a limit for free. It's only $100 or £100 a year. And there's also Sitebulb. And lastly, inside Yoast, there's things like workouts where you can, on a regular basis, keep monitoring the performance of your pages and improve them and whatnot. But there's always something to do to keep optimizing. I wouldn't say chase a score of 100 on page speed scores, but I would say from a content, engagement, and UX point of view, there's always something to improve and there's always something to A/B test. So even if you think you've got a perfect landing page, it probably isn't. Like, just do a small thing, change a CTA to a different color or position, or, have, I forgot what it's called, when people point to a CTA that you actually want to click, and all of those experiments, I would say, keep on doing those things.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Now, if someone listening wants to learn more, is there a cheap or free resource you would recommend?
Our mailing list, our updates, our webinars. If you go to yoast.com/webinar, I believe most of them are in there. And of course, there's our mailing list that goes out once a week and stuff like that.
Brilliant. And finally, it's crystal ball time. What's coming up in the next 6 to 12 months that we should be getting ready for?
More volatility on search results. So there'll be more doubt, and there'll be with that a bit of FUD, right? So Google may make a change or an improvement. Lots of people will be happy, but I guarantee you there will be other people that will be unhappy and make everyone aware of how unhappy they are and how bad that data is. So there'll be quite a bit of that. I think there'll be more uncertainty in that way. But I think 12 months from now, I would like to hope, touch wood, that the SERPs are becoming in a way that we can all understand that's going to be the way of the future. I think in the last year or two, it's been deciding where AI sits. This year has been a bit, how can we use it to really go onto mass adoption? And next year, we'll be mastering that V1 into V2, I believe. But yeah, more disagreements on how Google interprets what's helpful, what's important, what's not. But I think search intent, like I mentioned before, will be something on Google's mind. I think they'll probably elaborate more on search intent. I can see that they've done more elaboration on what's helpful, right? But then they'll have to then delve into, well, how is this helpful? Why is this helpful in the way that we were talking before earlier in this? What is the intent? What do you want to gain? What is helpful?
So definitely a year for doing as you advised earlier, Alex, and waiting for other people to dive into the details and skimming the best insights off the top. Otherwise, it could take over, couldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Alex, we are very nearly at the end of the show. So could you please let the listeners know where they can find you and your business if they want to get in touch?
Sure, I've got my personal branding site, which I've just relaunched from a one-pager into a WordPress website with less than 50 lines of code, which I'll be speaking about in Brighton in October as well. That's at alex-moss.co.uk. That's because there's a lot of other Alex Mosses out there, some of which are more famous than me. So try not to follow that really famous jeweler who keeps on doing Drake's jewelry. But other than that, you can find me on X at Alex Moss. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me. You can find me at Yoast events as well. And of course, I also own an agency called Firecast where we do web development and SEO and stuff like that.
Awesome. Alex, thank you so much for coming on the Keep Optimizing podcast. You've shared so much insight with us and really helped people get focused. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So I guess the headline of this one is keep doing what you're doing. Don't get overly distracted by the news that's going on. But great to get from one of the best SEOs out there, the clear advice around the Google leak, the cookie update, the DOJ monopoly judgment, and what's going on with the AI and the SERPs at the moment. So I hope you found that super useful, but keep focusing on how you can create the right helpful content for your customers. I guess yet again, we come back to understand what your customers want and find a way to give it to them. You can get our notes on this episode, the full transcript, links to the things we mentioned, and lots of other stuff by going to keepoptimizing.com. You can also use our special direct episode short link, keepopt.com/the number of this episode, and that will take you straight to the right page on the website. And when you get to the website, you can add yourself to our email list so you don't miss out on any of the stuff we share. Now, thank you for tuning into this episode of the Keep Optimizing podcast. Our whole set of pre-peak update episodes is now live, so why not have a listen to them all? We've got this one on SEO. We had Hamish talking about post-purchase customer experience, a quick and easy fix you can make to make a big difference to both costs and sales. And we had Zoe on the circular retail, aka second-hand market opportunities as well. You'll find those just up your podcast feed, so just scroll a little to find those and dive in. And if you want more SEO advice, then head to keepopt.com/SEO, where you'll find a page listing all our SEO focused episodes, so you can find the one that's going to help you continue your SEO journey in the right way next. If you know someone who's particularly interested in getting these updates in place for their peak, then please do let them know we've covered it all, as this show exists to help you and them improve their marketing. And next time, it's our annual Black Friday Top Tips episode. So make sure you tune in next Wednesday to catch that, and make sure you're subscribed to us or following us on your favourite podcast player so you don't miss it. Have a great week, and make sure you listen to the next episode so I can help you to keep optimizing your marketing.
Access everything Keep Optimizing at keepoptimizing.com. That's with an S, not a Z.
Don't forget to get your 10% discount on Yoast SEO for Shopify. Visit keepopt.com/Yoast, select the annual plan, and use the code KEEP10ANN. That's KEEP10ANN.